Hey Christian. So tell me a little bit about yourself. How you
Oh
got
God,
into the music.
how I got into the music. I it's funny. My biological father got me a guitar when I was 6 years old for my birthday, and I still got it actually. If you want to see it, that's like this electric blue guitar with mini humbuckers, and man, that's just I just played on that as a kid. No, not really. I tried lessons every once in a while, but like I just never really took to them.
Mm.
So it was just mainly like me. That's funny. Like my first thought is, I remember we had this house. I think I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I was the annoying kid that would have his guitar amp on the back porch, just cranked up all the way, going bang, bang. So, sure the neighbors love that. But yeah, honestly, I didn't really take to it though until I was about six. I think I was 17-ish. I started going to church, and uh, basically they had asked. I was playing like this is a silly story, but I was like playing piano, just jacking around. I went to church back then. I was going to church to uh, interact with friends and pick up ladies. So
Oh.
I was trying. I'm sure I was like trying to show off or something stupid. And the guy, like the guy that was running the music, he was like, "Hey, do you play anything else?" I told him I play guitar. He said, "Great. Show up next week with your guitar. You're gonna play." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I showed up and I did not know any of the chords because, like I said, I didn't learn those. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
not that guy. And funny enough, he was like, I kind of figured. He pulled out this sheet. He goes, learn these chords by next week. These are the chords we'll use for next week's songs. So got humbled real quick there, um, but yeah, basically, yeah, I did that and started just playing at church and on Sundays. That's all I did, and eventually played in some bands, the usual stuff, recorded some music and all that. So here I am.
Did you like after that, did you just like w- did you learn those chords?
I did. So I'm a nerd. So yeah, I did my homework. I went home and I was like, oh, and it was funny. I remember like thinking, like I learned some of those chords. I'm like, oh, I play that already, but I just didn't have the root note. Or,
Yeah.
maybe I was missing a note or two. And I was like, oh, so that's what they call that. Got it. Yeah, it was good.
So do you play in it like do you still play at the church?
Not the same one. So that was a long time ago, but yeah, really all I do nowadays is I play. I was recording some music with some other, just like some friends, just for fun. But my
Mm.
computer it's old, and so I'm actually in search of trying to figure out how I'm gonna get back into recording if I want a computer even. If I want to maybe do something crazy and use tape or something or whatever. But yeah, pretty much all I do is I play it on church on Sundays. So playing gospel music.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's good. I mean, I do music on on the side, and it's just mostly just spoken word. I'm kind of
Yeah.
afraid of this being in public. I just like to do it.
Mm. Well, I'll say this. Something someone told me a long time ago that I thought was wise. Your gifts are not for you. They're for other people. So it's best to spread those and use those gifts for the others, the people that they're supposed to be for. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Well, that's. I mean, I do get it played on the radio once in a while, like I
Yeah,
did,
sweet. Okay.
like I did last Sunday. So,
Cool. What radio station?
uh, KKFI.
Yeah, nice.
Because they're, I
Cool.
guess that those are like the nice people. They just play whatever. I mean,
I
there's so many radio stations. I mean, I did a couple, but it's just they're not like Mix 93.3. It wouldn't, I mean, I would
Hmm.
love that, but also it would be really cool to do it because there is a radio station like just down the street, and that's C1, Mix, for one of them, forget the name,
I
but
can't remember where their station is, but yeah, that'd be cool. I don't really know. It's funny. I used to work at a radio station a long time ago. I don't know the people at KKFI, but I'm sure they're really nice. So, do they
yeah.
have like a Sunday segment for, I don't know,
Well,
local artists or
I
something?
guess
Or
I went out, well, I do other things in Kansas City, so I do like fundraisers here
Hmm,
in Kansas City, and I was on the show and they played my song one time, and then
it's always exciting, right?
they hear it on
Yeah,
the radio.
yeah.
It sounds better on the radio, I would think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It gives a better sound to it.
Because it's heavily compressed. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's on the radio. Of course, it sounds better, right?
yeah, yeah. Sometimes
Yeah,
it sounds good in the car too, but um, it it just like the guess the sound in like the speakers or can make them very loud if you wanted to.
certainly.
Um, so
Yeah, it's always a joy.
What's a process as like writing a song?
Shoot. Um, Great question. I think it depends on the project. So, like I said, I'm a nerd, so I'm sorry if this is silly, but excuse me. I view writing a song as hitting a certain objective if the project um like I guess like if I'm writing a song for a friend, for example, and they like a certain genre of music, I actually would ask, well, let's hear more about that project. Like, what's the band about? I want to know the members. What's
Mm,
this? What songs have you currently said? And then like you get to know the person more, and you kind of like puzzle piece your way into something like, okay, what if we did a song like this? And at that point, it could just be the starting point is just wherever. Like it could be a lyric, or it could be like a weird sound, like I'm thinking. My first thought was like a country song. I think twang, like it's got to be twangy, right? So
mm,
let's try to do that in this way. That could be fun. So I guess like for me, I like to just explore and keep more of the adventure if I can, and have fun with that process, and then really just each song is so different. It's hard to really have you know a practice with, but I could probably use some more work on that. So enlighten me if you have any methods, right?
yeah, I guess I mean normally I do the vocals and I get those down and I just
Yeah.
use GarageBand and
So when you do vocals, like, do you like write out lyrics first, or are you more of like the melody and all that
I'm
first? And
I well, so I sometimes I do have people like friends that do the sounds and all that fun stuff, but
yeah,
um I normally it depends. I mean, like sometimes I like to do it on my own. I write the lyrics down. Sometimes they come to my head. Sometimes I have to wait till I have a just it just happens. I guess the writing sometimes it takes long. It's a process of writing a song, or I mean,
hmm,
if somebody has like an idea, then I'll take that and think of listen to it somebody else's music and just maybe get some ideas from that.
certainly.
Just
There, there's so much to be said about collaborating on projects. It's something that I've really had to learn. I used to be someone who had to do everything themselves because it was like, oh, this is my song. You know what I mean? Like I just
Hmm.
I put way too much, I guess, emphasis on that. But I've learned, man, you could recruit anyone, and it could spark this whole new idea that you would have never considered. Um, even like with one of my kids, for example, they might play something on the piano, and it's like, wow, that's really good. And I know that they're just kind of like having fun and exploring, but I'm like, man, I need to get my phone out real quick, capture that idea, and um, I also like I don't know if are you familiar with the show Nathan for You?
Sounds familiar.
So it's this you'll have to check it out. It's really funny, but like it's basically this guy who is helping small businesses, but his
Um,
ideas are just absolutely absurd. But I like his method of he will recruit people that are just available and or cheap or people crazy enough to respond to a Craigslist ad, for example,
mhm.
and he'll just use them. They're like, all right, you're the person. And I actually like some of the ideas that are on that show are like, well, actually, that's kind of good. That's a good idea. Like, I know the execution's supposed to be funny and entertaining, and that's not really the aim of what they're doing. But like, what I learned from that is like, you can just the collaborative effort of having someone assume a role or take on part of that project. It can really help out overall, making a better song in this example, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I started collaborating with some local musicians here in Kansas City and some people in Canada, and it's
Hmm.
kind of fun. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. It's like your team, right?
Yeah, just I mean, you have to find the right people that kind of sound good with you, with the music that you play.
Certainly. Or you could try to find the people that you think would sound the worst with you and just see what happens, right?
Yeah, again, again. I mean, a long time ago, I wanted to have a band, then it didn't really work out. But
Mm.
it just like I'm kind of afraid to have so I kind of back in the day I used to look at um random people online and try to get them together and just play at this random studio, and it just didn't work out. I mean, it did work out the first time because it was just all my friends from high school, but then I tried to find a really different music venue that I was looking at, or just like a place, and I don't know. It's just not. It didn't work out. I mean, it was just strange. An old man producing the music, and I don't know.
Best kind, right? Um, yeah, man, bands are hard. I've been in a couple. It's a, h- I think it's just the format of having a band, I guess, is just difficult. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the common denominator actually. But I think especially like now in my point in life, I have a full family. It's hard. It's almost like it's hard to find just people in general outside of work, for example, to do projects with. I think I saw this. Oh, I got like a newsletter of like
Mhm.
big daily events, and one of them was I said like there was like this article about how Americans are not having like they're not like hosting get-togethers on the weekends, like even if that's like a summer barbecue or like a house party or anything like that. The percentage is like I guess declining, and I don't know how they quantify that or research that, but
Mhm.
um, to me, I was like, yeah, I kind of feel that. I feel that a little bit. Like it's just kind of hard getting people together in general. So like when you talk about getting a band together, it's like, oh wow, that's like
Mhm.
logistically sounds very difficult to achieve. So
I would think because it's a lot of people don't have like some people have a lot have that have kids or they have something to do, and then they make time, and then they never come, and then you have to figure it out all by yourself again, and then
Yeah, right.
so what's a day in the life as a musician and as a father?
A day in the life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, every day is different, right?
Uh-huh.
Like for example, so I'm an early bird. I usually wake up around 5. Uh, I don't know why. That just happens. But like for example, today I slept in. And I'm not gonna argue with that. But
Uh-huh.
sleeping in to me is a little different. But my youngest kid pops in our bedroom door at 6:30 in the morning. This never happens. So man, I would say the morning can just look totally different every day. But as a musician and a father every day, I would say like, really to me, being a musician takes such a huge sidestep. I would always prioritize my spouse and my kids over my work and my music over anything. So much of my day is just, making sure my kids are, being well taken care of. They're on their own track for success. Making sure the house is in order. Are there
Uh-huh.
things I gotta take care of? And really, music at this point in my life is more of a weekend thing. Like I said, I mainly just I play at church, um, on the praise team, and play guitar that way. Occasionally, now that it's starting to become summertime, I do like to get the acoustic guitar out, and we have a little like propane fire pit on our backyard, so it's really nice, like on those summer nights. Starting this week, really now going
Uh-huh.
outside more, getting the guitar, and kind of having more of that campfire feel, type of thing. So yeah, that's what it looks like for me.
Is your how many kids do you have? Only
I have
one?
two. I have two kids. I have two little girls. Yeah, yeah. But I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Well, that's a lot. To
Yeah, yeah,
handle with. Um,
yeah. And I hear this is like the worst of it. Like anytime I tell someone, because last year was like a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, or all that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
anytime I tell someone, like, man, you are in it, and there's definitely a lot of moments where it feels like I'm in it, right? But
Yeah.
man, it doesn't feel all that bad. Like it's such a good joy and such a great calling in life to be a parent. So if it gets better from here, that's great, right?
Yeah, yeah. Do they like music too?
Love music. So my oldest is she's a she's going to be a performer of sorts of something. I would be shocked if she wasn't. Not like necessarily with music, but maybe acting or dance, whatever. But
Um,
she is someone who can walk through a room of people who have never met her, but everyone's eyes just kind of gravitate toward, like she's kind of like has this weird presence to her where people notice her for some reason. So yeah, she loves coming downstairs. I have a piano down here, and she likes writing songs on it. And I even got like the sheet music paper with a pen, and I just like have it open, and it's really cute watching her. She'll just like write out her music, or just draw something, but like she's not like actively trying to like, oh, this is a C chord, and then we'll go here. It's just more of like her just exploring with
yeah.
just having fun, sitting at a piano and having that expression and connection, and then also doing that. My youngest loves to sing, loves to sing, but I think she's going to be a drummer. So we'll see.
Guess you're gonna have some drums in the house, and
I
she
have a
was.
drum kit, yeah. I have a kick, snare, and a hi-hat situation, which is all you need in my opinion. But yeah, very lively household, to say the least.
I when I was younger, I well, I did drum lessons, and then I said, "Do I want to keep doing this?" I mean, I'm
Hmm.
not, and I didn't feel like it. And then,
Yeah.
but my aunt bought me a snare and a cymbal, so I was
Nice.
all ready for that. But then I
Hmm.
just, kind of, and also the pad, the drum pad. I had a couple of those
Oh
laying
yeah, nice.
laying around, and then
So
um,
it's hard to find a good teacher, like a good fit. At least it has been for me. Probably because I'm a problem, right? But I it's hard to find someone who can both guide you appropriately from where you're at. Because it's really hard. Because like from a teacher's perspective, they kind of have to have like a playbook, right? They kind of have to like if I'm seeing beginners, if I'm teaching beginners, like I'm probably gonna start them off very similar foundational skills, right?
mhm.
And I think that makes sense. But um, it's hard to find someone who can both guide you from where you're at and kind of help achieve whatever goal or whatever foundational skill they believe would be best for you, but also marrying that with the expressive untangibles of music and playing with people. It's a challenge for me. So
Yeah, I did all the things I wanted to do. I did the drums for a little bit, then I did the guitar lessons for a little bit, and I said, I'm not that great, but I mean, I have the guitar, the acoustic guitar, just
hmm
laying around in my house. Um,
yeah,
and then
it's
some electric guitars as well, but I mean, haven't really got them out of the case. They just sit around.
so it sounds like you have a hard time because I mean it's a lot of work to learn an instrument. I mean
Yeah,
I don't it's kind of weird looking back on like how that might have started with the early years, but like it's hard, man. Like playing the guitar is freaking hard. Like if like once you like kind of get the foundational muscle memory, it's like okay, and then you're not really thinking about those things, but man, when you start playing guitar, it's like wait, I have to turn my wrists like this. It's really awkward, and then I have to do my hand like this, totally different, and
yeah,
all that. Something I've done with my kids to just kind of like foster the idea of like exploring the instrument on their own terms
hmm,
is I have an acoustic guitar or two just tuned to an open tuning. So they don't have to worry about all that crap. They can just like smack this thing and I won't care because it's an old acoustic, like whatever. And they can still make music with it or be expressive with it, right? I
yeah,
think like a drum kit is a really good example of what's the drum's gonna sound like before you hit it. Whereas with a guitar, you don't have that. Like if you're a beginner, you're like, I don't know what this is gonna sound like. Let me try it. You hit a drum though, you know that this is gonna sound like that. You hit the kick drum, it's gonna sound like that. Um, but but I also think like a piano is really accessible too, because like man, you just need to do this, two fingers.
yeah,
You know the physical requirements for that instrument are very low, right? Um,
yeah.
so yeah, it's just throwing some ideas for you, man. If you wanted to get crazy
Well, I do
with your
have
house,
I have the small keyboard,
there
um,
you go.
that I kind of bought online, and then somebody told me about it. And I said, "Oh, this is interesting."
Yeah,
And I kind of thought it's kind of cool. It's all different than you would think. You look at a big keyboard, it's way different. It has so many keys.
a
Um,
lot.
but I gave that keyboard to my nephew, um, because he was starting to do piano, and
Nice.
then I kind of said,
So
"There
you're
you
you're an
go."
uncle, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have
nice,
two nephews and one niece.
nice. there's such a big role for being an uncle or an aunt. It's a critical role, so hats off to you. Thank you.
I mean, it's a lot of work too. Um,
Absolutely.
it's like changing diapers and doing all that fun stuff, I guess. Um, but but it's also spent spoiling them. But I mean,
Well,
not
yeah.
so
I
much.
mean, you're the
So
uncle.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's still a lot though.
Yeah.
What is the hardest thing of raising children?
Mm, that's a great question. Something that something that I think is really hard, at least it was for me. You have to be so mentally flexible, and um, that was not something I was used to. So, for example, like I've said this, I'm a nerd. I like to be rigid with a lot of stuff, but with kids, like they're just so unpredictable, and progress is not linear, right? So it's not like you teach a kid something, they have that down pat right away, or maybe they do have it pretty well that first day, but the next day they forget some stuff. It's
Mm,
so it's you have to be really empathetic and putting yourself in their shoes at all times. If they don't get something, are you communicating it the right way? Does does the way you talk to this child, does that make sense for where they are in their age and development? It's a challenge, and that's an adult skill too. Like when you talk to a different group of people, you want to make
mm,
sure you're communicating effectively. I know I have to talk to you like this because you get this type of communication, but this other person likes this way better, right?
yeah.
So it's a little bit of that. Um, but yeah, and then but what's fun about that though is you get to watch them develop. Like you get to. It's funny. I was just talking about this with someone. You get to watch a human, like their whole knowledge base, like everything they know. You get to watch that develop from start to whenever, and that is both magical to watch, but also inspiring because it's like, wow, it kind of makes you question maybe some of the things that you think about because they're asking just genuine, honest questions. You're like, I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a
Yeah.
great. That's a
That's
great. That's a thought. Let
yeah.
me think on that. So, yeah, it's both a challenge and a joy with that one. Yeah.
Okay, well I have a couple of these ones.
That's all right.
Let's see what's one I have on here. Um do you guys do anything fun together?
Yes, all the time. I work remotely. So we're home together all day, every day, for the most part, and we don't have any childcare, really. Um, every so often we'll, have that, but in terms of like what I do fun with the kids outside of this home on a normal everyday activity, I love taking them to the movie theater about once a month. And so I'm in the Liberty area. There's like this I don't know if you're familiar, but there's like this movie theater and it has a big playground in it. So
I've seen them on TV, not TV, on Instagram. Just, but I never. I think to myself, is that like does that work?
it's awesome. Um, they love it. I love it. Shoot, if I could get on that slide, I would, but people look at you weird. There's like, so you walk in, it's a normal theater. I
No.
think the only difference is I think they changed the sound system. I don't think they have as many like subwoofers and things like that pounding these little kids' ears. So I think the sound's a little different. But the whole left side is like this huge like enclosure slide setup. So You go in, I think it's like 30 minutes before the movie. It's like all free play. And there's also like a right next to the screen up front, there's like another play area that's more open, that's not enclosed. So yeah, it's awesome, man. It's funny too, 'cause like my 2-year-old's still, figuring out social cues and all that. She this last time we went, I think we're like 5, 10 minutes in the movie. She doesn't like sitting. She's just a mover. That's why she's gonna be a drummer. She's been moving her feet like nonstop.
Yeah.
10 minutes in the movie, she looks at me, she's like, Dad, I'm gonna go play. I'm like, you can't do that. Huh? Why? Well, look, nobody else is playing. We're watching a movie. We're watching the movie right now. She just kind of like looks at it like, oh, okay. She just lays on me. So
Well,
it's a
I
good.
mean,
I recommend it. So
it's. I mean, that sounds fun. Going to the movies, doing that. I mean, the last time I went to the movies with the nephews and I said, "Oh my gosh, I can't handle this. I can't handle it." They're crazy. They they don't even sit down. They just mosey along. I'm thinking, okay. And then my sister says, she's like about to scream at them and just sit your butt on the chair and watch the freaking movie. I mean, but I don't know. Hopefully
well,
hopefully they're better nowadays because they're getting older. But
yeah. Well, it's when you can figure out the that part of it, definitely check it out. It's a good thing for them. They love it. My kids love it at least. So
well, that's good. That's good. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, we have, we do take some trips too. And I remember my first, it's funny, like our first trip as a family when it was just my firstborn, she was like 1.5 and we are getting on an airplane. I was really nervous about it. I was like, man, this is not going to be fun. Like, just taking a kid through multiple airports. There wasn't a direct flight where we were going, so it was just like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be awful, and I'm gonna be like that stereotypical parent with the crying baby on an airplane, right? It wasn't like that at all, and I know that's not everyone's experience, but um, I will say if you do have any sort of hesitation or reservation to take kids on a trip, don't just do it. Like I was shocked at how well my kids played together. Like I thought for sure they would be like screaming, butting heads the whole time. Like why are we in this weird house? You know.
Yeah.
Uh, but man, they actually had most of their bonding. Like they have really good bonding moments being in situations that they're not used to. So highly recommend. Just anything out of the normal. So doesn't have to cost a lot, right? Just make it happen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite ice cream place in where on the other side of wherever you are in Kansas
Man, so
City?
I'm north, so I'm like I'm in the weird part of Kansas City that should be Liberty, um,
Uh,
but it's not. And dude, man, honestly, like we had this great ice cream place that just shut down. So our go-to is actually Andy's frozen custard right now. Um, we do make a lot of our own food though, so like like we've made like the ice. I don't know if you've seen those recipes where you just like pop something in the freezer and do that. But yeah, honestly, like yeah, if we go out for ice cream, it's probably Andy's. I know it's frozen custard. Um, but yeah, honestly, like milkshakes inside,
uh,
you can get a whole freaking thing of it at the store for the same
yeah,
price as
yeah,
one
yeah.
ice cream at Andy's. That's the way to go.
Man, that they let there's a Andy's down the street where I'm from because I'm on the I am on the Kansas side, but it's just
Yeah.
there's a couple of interesting ice cream shops around here. I go once in a while, but mostly
Man, any day you're having ice cream, that's a good day. I'll just leave it at that.
yeah, yeah,
That's a good time.
yeah. Let's see what else on this thing. What do you
Gotta get the
feel?
good questions out.
Yeah, what do you how like hold on. Um, do you have any tips for other parents that you're trying to if you're trying to figure out?
Well, I'll say this. I have a 5-year-old, so all my knowledge is for that age and under for right now.
Hmm.
But um, I would say for new parents, you should take a class called Taking Cara Babies. The Cara, that's her name, Kara. So Taking Cara, it's like a play on
Uh,
her name and Taking Cara Babies. I took the childhood sleep course. That's something me and my wife did. And to me, it was like taking the Dave Ramsey financial class. It was like, oh, that makes sense. So, highly recommend because I'm sure you know this. The biggest complaint probably every new parent has is where did my sleep and time go? So,
oh,
if
yeah.
you can figure out the sleep part, you're good. So, um, but yeah, I think, my advice to just parents in general is it's really easy to do this. It's really easy to just respond to something because that is the way your parents responded to you doing that in the past. I've caught
Hmm.
myself doing that so many times. I'm like, why did I say that? That's stupid. Um, Not that my parents are stupid. I love my
Yeah.
mom to death.
Yeah.
She is a saint. But the just have a little more intention and like I said, empathy for your kid. Like, they're figuring stuff out every day. Like the amount of stuff a kid learns in a single day is a lot different from someone like me and you who
Yeah.
we've been around the block a couple times. We know how
Yeah.
these things work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so give them some credit, encourage them. Think about how you would want to be treated as a kid, Think, maybe reflect on some of the things you loved and maybe the things you maybe didn't love so much. And try to close that gap a little bit with your own parenting style. Or,
Yeah.
if you don't have biological kids and you're an uncle, or maybe you don't, maybe no one in your family has kids, but you have a friend that has a kids, you can still have so much influence on that kid's life. So, yeah.
Is it hard? Like, have you done the tantrum side yet?
Tantrums. What do you mean? I've never
Like,
had any issues in my house ever, Daniel. Yeah, so thankfully I have leaned heavily on my wife's educational background, so she has a master's in curriculum and instruction. Thank God, because yeah, I don't know anything about that. I always tell her like, I think I'll do a lot better at teaching the harder stuff when they're a little older, but no, it's good. It's good for me to kind of get more involved though on the more rudimentary stuff. But with tantrums, what I'll say this: you do not have to match anyone's energy in anything. If you were screaming at me right now, I would not be screaming back at you. Adult to adult, I would probably handle it a lot different. I think with kids and parents, especially because tantrums can happen randomly for no good reason at all,
mm,
just and they could be ongoing, right? You don't have to match that energy. A, B, kids do a lot better when you give them choices. If they're old enough to understand English, which they probably do, um, you can kind of give them a little bit more say in what's going on that helps them feel validated and heard, but also, give them the option that still makes the most sense for the situation. Like, I'm just thinking like last night, I'm just about to put my kids to bed, and my youngest grabs a snack. I'm not giving her a snack. You're not eating that. You just brush your teeth. These are things in my head, right?
hmm.
And so my first answer is no, you can't have that. Well, she starts pouting. I'm sorry, I can't do that. And I go, well, do you want to put that back, or do you need me to do it? Like I know that's like a really rigid way
Mhm.
of doing it, but even that totally diffuse. Like for her, she's like, all right, I'll just take it back, like whatever, you know. But if I
Yeah,
just kept going back and forth, it's like that quote, like, how can you expect a different results doing the exact same thing, right? Like you kind of gotta figure out what works for them. So I can only speak with my kids. I know some people have totally different situations with tantrums, but I find giving the kid a little bit more choice in the matter goes a long way. So
that's good to know. I mean, you have
try
a
it, try it for try it for a fun thing, just to see. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to wait till they're having a tantrum to try it, but just try giving a kid two choices between something and just see what happens. Like it's so easy. It makes it a lot easier. So
most of the kids don't really want to clean up after themselves.
well, I don't like cleaning up after myself either, but I also have to eat my vegetables, right? So
Do you have a favorite vegetable?
I had broccoli last night. Um, my favorite though, all right. I don't know if potatoes count. Those are, I think, an obvious first choice for many people, but I love Brussels sprouts. Like when they're cooked properly. Oh my God, those are. I could have a whole plate of Brussels sprouts, and I have before. So, what
Mm.
about you, man?
Um, I do like broccoli, and that's good. Um, no, my mom doesn't like the greens or the vegetables. I'm thinking, how did you?
Uh-oh.
I don't know, but it's just how it is. But man, it just I do eat them, but yeah, I kind of hate eating vegetables, but I have to do them. They're still good somehow. The
Yeah,
sweet, some of
it's
them are
hard.
some of them are sweet, some of them are savory.
I use the term, well, I gotta eat my vegetables. I say that like in a sense of like it's something I have to do. I have to do that before I do the fun stuff. It's kind of like the gotta eat your vegetables before you get your ice cream, like
Mhm.
that old adage. Yeah, but yeah, man. I know we're talking about vegetables now, and that's super random, but
I do like corn too. So that those I had corn last night. So
good. There you go. We'll be growing corn here in no time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's good. It's good. I had kava last night, so I was like all ready for it. Um,
Nice. Yeah, that's a good time.
it's